Hello, my name is Chris Rogers with Mathnasium, and today I will be going over the two ways that you can divide using fractions, and we're going to go over the least common denominator method first, followed by the keep, change, flip method. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So in order to start off with division using fractions, we first actually have to have some fractions. So let's just make some up right here. Let's try 3/4 divided by, let's say, 2/3. Let's keep this easy to start us off. And so, as I was saying, this is going to be the least common denominator method, the LCD, and all that LCD is finding out what the least common multiple is between your two denominators and making your new fractions in order to represent that. So in this case, our denominators are 4 and 3. So what is the least common multiple between 4 and 3? Well, 4 and 3 can both go into 12, so that sounds like a good denominator to use. So we just set up two new fractions, equivalent fractions, set up as twelfths instead of fourths and thirds. So how many times could 4 go into 12 in order to make this fraction equivalent? Well, 4 went into 12 3 times, so we need 3 times to make it equivalent. And 3 times 3 is 9. And we do the same thing for our second fraction. We know that 3 went into 12 4 times, so then 2 times 4 would give us 8. And now all that's left to do, once you have two equivalent denominators, all that you do is you simply divide across the numerators and divide across the denominators. So 9 divided by 8 gives us 9/8 over 12 divided by 12, which is 1. Or in this case, we can simply say that it is 9/8 because any number divided by 1 is just itself, so we just end up with 9/8 again. And then for the final step is to make this into a mixed number because we don't like improper fractions. So how many times can 8 go into 9? 8 can go into 9 one time, with 1 left over, and since we were dealing with 8s, it's just going to be 8s. And that's all that there is to the least common denominator method. In fact, let's go over one more example just to make sure that we got this. Okay, let's try something a little bit more tricky though. Let's try something with mixed numbers involved. So let's try 2 3/7 divided by, let's say 1 2/3. Let's not go too crazy with the fractions. Right? So we first must find out what these are in improper fraction form. Now, I know that improper fractions are usually frowned upon, but whenever you're dealing with division or multiplication, whichever it may be, dealing with both mixed numbers and fractions at the same time does get a little bit messy, so it's better just to make everything improper while you're doing the dirty work, and then come out with a mixed number at the end, make sure that it's all clean in the end. So, let us go ahead and make these into some improper fractions. So, in order to do that, 2 times 7 is 14, plus 3. That gives us a nice 17 out of 7, 17/7, divided by 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5/3. And again, we need to make these into some least common denominators. So, least common denominator between 7 and 3 is just going to be 21 in this case, because 7 times 3 gives us 21. And that is the trick that you can do. Anytime that you are not sure what the least common denominator is between them, you can always just multiply the two denominators together in order to get your new denominator, and then simplify later on in the process. But for these, it happened to work out this way. So, we are still going to make our new fractions. So, we multiplied 7 times 3 to get 21. So we need to multiply 17 times 3, which we can do out here to the side. 17 times 3, 7 times 3, 1, carry the 2, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is going to be 51 21sts. And then 3 times 7 was 21, so 5 times 7 would be 35. And then all that's left to do, 51 divided by 35, 51 35ths. And now we can work backward and make it back into our nice mixed number that we want. So 35 can go into 51 one time. And to find out how much is left over, we do 51 minus 35. Can't subtract 1, make it 11. Make that a 4. 11 minus 5 is 6. 4 minus 3 is 1. So we get 1 and 16 35ths as our final answer. And that's all that there is to the least common denominator method. Now we can move on to my personal favorite way to divide fractions, and that is using the KCF, the keep, change, flip method. Now, in order to understand the keep, change, flip method, it's easiest just to go ahead and work through an example. So we will go back to the 3/4 divided by 2/3 that we started off with last time. Now, keep, change, flip is exactly what it sounds like. You are going to keep, you are going to change something, and then you are going to flip one of your fractions. And in order to do that, you go from left to right just as though you were reading. So keep means that we keep the first fraction the same. Change means you change the operand from division to multiplication. And then flip means that you find the reciprocal, or just you flip your fraction, so numerator becomes denominator, and denominator becomes numerator. So 2/3 simply becomes 3/2. And then it's just multiplying some fractions. Multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, make into a mixed number, reduce, and all of that. So let's go ahead. 3 times 3 gives us 9. 4 times 2 gives us 8. And just like before, our answer is 9/8, which is a good sign. It means that this method is functioning. And 1 1/8 is going to be our solution. So just to make sure that this works, let's go through one other example. And let's do some larger numbers. So in this case, let's go back to 4/7. Let's try out 4/7. Divided by, let's say 5/8. That sounds like a fairly large number. Now, we go back, we keep 4/7 as is, we change to multiplication, and then we flip our second fraction and make it 8/5. Equals, we multiply across numerators. What is 4 times 8? It is going to be 32 over, what is 7 times 5? That's going to give us 35. So can we simplify that down? Doesn't look like we can. So 4/7 divided by 5/8 is going to be 32 35ths, and that is all that there is to the keep, change, flip method of division. Whichever one of these methods worked best for you today, please make sure you stick with it. Don't confuse yourself by trying to memorize too much information. Just find the easiest way for you, stick with it, because either one of these methods will work exactly the same every single time. So, if you have any questions, comments, or any other math topics you'd like Mathnasium and team to cover, please just leave it down in the comments of this video. If you learned something today, please leave a like, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day and that you'll join us next time. Alright, have a fantastic rest of your day.